Rogue 2.0. Some people love it, some people hate it, and some people simply don't give a shit about it. So I've pretty much accepted the fact that no matter what I'm going to say in this video, I'm going to piss off a few people one way or another. But hey, when has that ever stopped me from doing anything? So, for today, I want to take a good look at the new Rogue 2.0 system and give my thoughts on it, the good and the bad, and see what we can potentially still change to improve the experience for everybody. Let's begin. I want to start off this video by talking about the friendly fire that has been disabled between players that are not rogue. Previously, of course, this wasn't the case. Non-rogue players could just as easily shoot other non-rogue agents, and this is actually how you would go rogue in the first place. Seems pretty self-explanatory, but this was actually the cause of a lot of annoying moments for a lot of people, because if you did as much as just throw a grenade at the wrong place at the wrong time, bam, you got hit by the 20-second timer. If you shot at a player or at an NPC and someone happened to be walking in front of you, bam, a 20-second timer. If you use Seeker Mines to kill some NPCs and then some guy walks close enough to the NPC to be hit by the explosion from the Seeker Mine as well, bam, another 20-second timer. So for plenty of good reasons, friendly fire has been disabled in patch 1.8, and players that are not rogue or not manhunt will not be able to damage each other at all. The way to go rogue now is to actually hold a button for a few seconds, which will then tag you with a 20-second timer on command. You can do this anytime that you want, and after you have the 20-second timer, only then you can start to shoot other players and do all the things that you could do in patch 1.7. Now, with these changes, a couple of things are happening to the game as a result. First up, when somebody goes rogue, it will give the players in the surrounding area some time to react to you going rogue. Simply shooting down somebody that's checking out his inventory, I mean, it's still going to happen, but it's not going to happen as often anymore, as anybody that's just paying a little bit of attention is going to notice that people went rogue before he gets shot down. It's a little bit of a gank protection system, so to speak. It gives players a second or two to see what's going on. Another thing that this changes is that the friendly fire feature also makes it a lot easier for multiple players that are not in a group together to work with each other against rogue players. You know, before they couldn't really do that because they weren't able to throw grenades, use area of effect skills, or just shoot in general without going accidental rogue themselves. But right now, with patch 1.8, with Rogue 2.0, players are not going to have to worry about that anymore. They can try to fight the rogues without the game mechanics working against them, and I believe that this makes the game a lot more enjoyable for a lot of players. I am, of course, also aware of the fact that this makes the rogue game a lot more difficult. Some part of the surprise element when going rogue will now go away because of this more announced version of going rogue with the button. And if multiple players and multiple teams are fighting against the same rogue team without having to worry about going rogue themselves, then they'll be more inclined to spam grenades, spray bullets, and do things that they otherwise could not have gotten away with in patches prior to 1.8. And as such, a lot of people have cried out that this friendly fire feature needs to be removed, and that if it's not removed, it will turn the dark zone into a PvE zone with nobody going rogue, etc, etc, etc. But I think I'm gonna have to disagree here. As someone who plays PvP myself as well, I play a lot of Dark Zone, I actually think that Rogue 2.0 and disabling friendly fire is a step in the right direction. I've always thought that trying to flag people for accidental rogue by body blocking and stuff like that was a pretty cheap thing to do in the game. Sure, I do it myself as well, and I can even understand that you could go as far as calling this a strategy in certain situations. It is in the game, it's a feature, so why not use it? But regardless of that, I still didn't think it was a very good mechanic, and even to this day, I still believe it is kinda cheesy, to be honest with you. But I know where a lot of these concerns come from. They don't come from the 1v2 or the 3v4 type of fights with multiple solo players working together to take out a squad. No! Most of the concerns are coming from the 4v8 situations, the 4v10s or the 4v12s. You know, the manhunt versus the server situation, so to speak, where no matter how good the manhunt group is, they will just get overwhelmed with grenades, stray bullets, and all those area of effect skill abilities. And I agree that in those situations, it can become a pretty impossible task for the manhunt players to stay alive. I agree on that, but I also think that this is a good thing. I understand that people want to play PvP, but going rogue was always meant to be this risk versus reward mechanic. The reward factor has definitely been added with the rewards that you get for surviving manhunt, but that means that the risk factor also needs to be there. If you are rogue or manhunt, you should be at risk. I think that's a change that a lot of people are going to still have to wrap their heads around. You're not entitled to always survive a manhunt. Going rogue should be something that you have to think twice about, and shooting anybody on sight It's not supposed to be a given anymore. If you go rogue in the middle of those 12 other players, well, that's a stupid decision, and you should get punished for that. Going rogue at the wrong times will get punished. Stupid decisions will get punished. And the fact that you cannot bait other players to go accidental rogue as well and turn the whole server into a mess, I think that's a good thing. It doesn't mean that you cannot be successful as a rogue agent in the Dark Zone anymore. It just means that you have to be smart about it. And I'd say that you'd also have to be more experienced at the game as before. Because yes, as I said, the rogue game has become harder. The whole Manhunt game has become more difficult. So if you're not a good player, yeah, obviously you're just gonna get shut down. But organized teams, good players, they will still be able to pull through with enough practice. You just need to know when to go rogue and when not to go rogue. And some people are going to like this, and some people don't. I myself, I like this. Going rogue will be a bigger thing, hunting rogues will be a bigger thing. And while, yes, at the end of the day, this will result in less people going rogue because less people are going to be successful, I ultimately still think it's a good thing. Rogue shouldn't be the main source of PvP. If you just want to shoot at things and not be worried about any of that, then we have Last Stand, and we have Skirmish. If you're up for that big risk versus reward game, if you want to put yourself at a disadvantage to see how well you can do, then you can go to the Dark Zone and go rogue. All of that being said though, I still don't think that the current system is perfect. Not by a long shot. I like the disabled friendly fire between non-rogue players, and I like the announced rogue feature with the button presses, but the Manhunt system and the way that you get rid of a Manhunt, that still needs a lot of work, because a lot of times the Manhunts are put into a situation that they simply cannot win. And I want to talk about that right now. Previously, you of course had your 5-minute timer, and as soon as your timer depleted, you were not a Manhunt anymore. That's how it worked in patch 1.7 and how it worked before that. But right now in patch 1.8, as soon as you go Manhunt, your timer will disappear, and the game will pick a random position on the map for you to go towards where you have to channel this terminal to get rid of your Manhunt status. It sounds pretty good, but the problem is that everybody else in the Dark Zone will also instantly get to see the location where the Manhunts need to go to buy off their Manhunt status. It doesn't show the exact location. You always get an area on the map where the terminal is, but these areas are the same areas as the Last Stand capture points with the same 3 nodes. So if you know the location, it could only be one of 3, and it also visually shows you which one it is, as the 2 nodes that the Manhunts will not be using will be disabled. This means that if you go Manhunt either by yourself or go Manhunt as a group, and you find yourself outnumbered, which happens a lot of the times now with the friendly fire disabled, the other players, if they're smart, they can just run up to that one terminal as well and camp there for as long as they want. And then there's nothing that the Manhunts can do to get rid of their status, and thus they will eventually die. When I was playing with a group of 3 or 4 players, we could always find ways to work around this by having one guy run up to the station and then the rest of the group trying to hold off the horde of players that are coming towards us. Or we ran to the other end of the Dark Zone as a 3-man group, and then one of the guys in our team sneaked up to the terminal on the other side of the map to buy it off while the non-rogue players were too busy trying to kill us. It resulted in some pretty crazy and close moments where all of a sudden we were fighting and then hey, our Manhunt status is gone. But those things of course only work so many times. As soon as the other players in the game also understand the ins and the outs of the new Manhunt system, then there isn't much that the Manhunts can do. Unless the Manhunts somehow manage to kill all the players in the surrounding area and then also have enough time to buy off the terminal. But even that's a stretch because most of the terminals are located very close to the safe houses or checkpoints, so the dead players can just instantly respawn and then run back in. The timer to buy off a Manhunt status is significantly reduced the smaller your group is. So if you're a solo player, you can buy it off much faster than a 4-man group, but still though, the moment somebody goes Manhunt, everybody else on the server gets to see the location where the Manhunt needs to buy it off. So in a lot of cases, if you have some experienced players on the server, and everybody is going to get experienced at some point, those non-rogue players, they could already be waiting at the terminal before the Manhunts have arrived. And at that point, it just becomes impossible for the Manhunts to ever get rid of their status. It's a guaranteed death sentence. So what I think needs to happen is that this buy-off point needs to change every so many minutes to a new random location so that one and the same location cannot be camped indefinitely by the non-rogue agents, giving the Manhunts basically no chance at survival. And in addition to that, when a new location spawns in for the Manhunt players, it should also not instantly be visible for the whole server. Maybe put a 1 or a 2-minute timer on it so that for those 1 or 2 minutes the manhunts know where they have to go to buy it off, but the other players they don't. So the non-rogue players cannot camp at the buy-off terminal preemptively before the rogue agents have even arrived. I understand that with Rogue 2.0 we want to get away from the whole cat and mouse game where the rogues are just running and running and running, but you can't force 4 people in a position that is heavily disadvantageous to them to be played on the terms of the 12 others chasing them. When I went rogue on the 1.8 PTS, we fought the server, sure, but we didn't fight them all at the same time. We fought on our terms. We ran a bit, then we turned around, we killed a few, then we ran a bit more, we turned around again, we killed a few. We only really looked for choke points and nice angles. And if we didn't have that, well, we just ran some more. That is the only way that manhunts are going to survive versus the server, so to speak. You cannot head-on take down 12 people. However, if these players on our server understood the Rogue 2.0 mechanics, they would not have chased us. They would not have just ran up to us and tried to kill us. Instead, what they could have done is just go to the buy-off point together, the buy-off point for our manhunt, and just wait there until we eventually wanted to buy it off. If they would have done that instead, then we would have been screwed either way. And of course, all of this counts double or triple or quadruple for the solo players, because of course, while their time to buy off a manhunt might be shorter, it's always way easier to get outnumbered and camped at these locations as well. So a built-in timer that every now and then changes the location of these buy-off points of these terminals, that would be a very good way to go in my opinion. It makes it more dynamic and prevents camping. That isn't all that I'm going to have to say though, because I would also like to see some adjustments made to the Manhunt ranking itself. Currently we have Rogue rank up to 1 and then all the way up to 4, and then starts Manhunt with rank 0 all the way up to Manhunt rank 5, and you go up a Manhunt rank every time that you either cut a rope or kill a player, just as you would rank up the Rogue ranks. And this is nice, you know, we have some progression past the normal Manhunt, but I think that we're ranking up in Manhunt ranks way too fast. If you're Manhunt rank 5, that only amounts to about 10 kills worth of Manhunt progression, and while for a solo player getting that amount of kills is going to be a pretty difficult thing to achieve, for group players it would be really nice if there was any progression beyond that, because 10 kills, honestly, if you have an organized group, it's not a whole lot. I'm not saying get a Manhunt rank 6 or a Manhunt rank 7 or a Manhunt rank 8 or anything like that. I'm saying have the Manhunt ranks increase once every 3 or once every 5 kills, so that the Manhunt rank 5 is actually something that is really difficult to achieve. This would also make more sense when looking at the rewards that you get for surviving Manhunt. You get 1 Manhunt sealed cache for surviving rank 0 Manhunt. You get 2 Manhunt caches for surviving rank 1 Manhunt, and so on and on and on, all the way up to receiving 6 caches for surviving Manhunt rank 5. But to get to Manhunt rank 0, you would need to kill 5 players, because you have to go through the rogue system first. To then instantly get 6 caches for the next 5 players that you kill, it just doesn't make sense to me. 10 or 11 kills worth of Manhunt progression is pretty short in my eyes. And I think that if we're talking about a Manhunt rank 5, we need to be at least sitting at 30 kills. 5 kills per Manhunt rank, and then we're talking. A good side effect of this would also be that it lessens the impact of the 6-piece Banshee. You know, the extra damage per Manhunt level. It's still gonna be that 5% per Manhunt level, but before the Manhunts are actually level 5, they would have had to get a lot of kills already. And thus, the extra damage doesn't come at play that often, only when you're up against a really good team. But yeah, that's that. Other than that, there are also 2 more things that I want to mention before ending the video. With the first thing being is that you can actually go rogue by hitting someone that's in the down state. This will instantly give you rogue rank 1 with a 90-second timer, and this happens even if friendly fire is still disabled, so I'm not sure if this is intended or not. I can't see this being a way for people to go accidental rogue unless you literally press the wrong button, so I don't mind it being in the game, but I just wanted to mention it because, you know, it's the PTS and I don't know if it's intended. But anyway, the second thing that I also quickly wanted to show is that the new Manhunt system is pretty open to possible boosting if you do it with a group. Basically, what players can do is go Manhunt and then have one group member leave the squad, and then after he left the squad, the other 3 players can buy off the Manhunt and get the rewards. After they get the rewards, they can join back the one guy that is still Manhunt because he left the group, and then the other 3 will automatically become Manhunt as well. And after that, the one guy leaves again, they buy off the Manhunt again, and they keep getting the rewards over and over and over again. To stop this, I would suggest not allowing somebody to join a group while he is on a Manhunt. It's fine if they join while the player is still rogue, but just don't allow it when he's on a Manhunt so players cannot do this if they happen to be on a somewhat empty server at 4 AM in the middle of the night. As I said at the start of the video, overall I think the changes are a step in the right direction. I actually really like the disabled friendly fire. I like the new Rogue 2.0 system. It just needs some tweaks here and there because at the moment it can really push the Manhunts into a position that they simply cannot win. And I think it is fun when a game is difficult, when there's a huge risk and all that stuff, but it shouldn't be as impossible as that it is right now. As always though, I will see you guys later, or like they say in the Netherlands, zie je later.